guess I'm on. Very nice. I always love Sundays. And that's why it's not on. It's burnt out. But that's okay. Because the flame is within each and every one of us. It's not the candle. It's you and I. And our connection to one another. And seeing the light in someone that may be different than you and have the different thoughts. C.A.R.B.S. Everybody's talking about C.A.R.B.S. But here's my acronym. Change a restricting belief system. There we go. That was a photo I took when we were, I think, in Croatia. Yeah, it was Croatia. God, that was a beautiful country. But as beautiful as it was in seeing different countries, it made me realize how beautiful this country is. Beauty, not just, thank you, beauty not just in the landscape, but beauty in the diversity of each of us. To have this type of diverse community based on religion, sex, whatever, is such a beautiful thing. And it led me to this. If you accept current opinions, do only those things which society says are correct, and remain in the conventional grooves, you never know the omnipresence of the glory of the mind and its ideas. That's an excerpt out of a book that I'm teaching, The Science of Successful Living, which I do on Monday nights. And it's an open class, so you don't have to take the entire thing. But this is part of what I'm teaching on Monday nights. But isn't that beautiful? Says correct. How often do we see on TV and in our friends their ideas, or a mass community saying the ideas of what's right and what's wrong? What's the right way to think and what's the wrong way? There's this side of the fence and that side of the fence. Well, I'm here to tell you there is no fence. There's only degrees of different attitudes. And when we can open up our field of consciousness and quit putting up fences and boxes, we're compartmentalizing our interactions with our fellow man. And since we teach here that we are the action of Spirit, that Spirit is everywhere at all times, omnipresence, it means that God is in everyone, even those we disagree with. When we can start to see life from that perspective, the glory of the mind and its ideas. Just like I said last week and in my classes, every thought, every conceivable idea is already known in the mind of God. It just takes our receptivity to that idea that we are able to have access to that information. It's like having the code in your computer. The information is there, but if you forget your password, you don't have access to it. But you have that password, you have access to it. That's a simplistic way of talking about our consciousness. As we raise our level of consciousness and see the divinity of what each of us are, even though someone may have a different idea than ourselves, we don't lose the idea that that person is divine and that person is, let me say that again, is the action of Spirit. Though it may be on the other side of the coin, it's still the same one coin. Being shot out of a cannon will always be better than squeezed out of a tube. Living on the edge. I'm a monkey on the edge, I'm telling you what. But isn't that true? I mean, to be in a state of consciousness to where everything is so mundane and you're worried about tomorrow, squeezing out any type of energy. I am so glad I like cannonballs. I remember as a kid jumping in the water, always doing the cannonball, and then when I grew up, I got to do the can opener. That's what the cannonball where you stuck out the one leg, for those of you that don't know what water is, since we live in a desert. But living on the edge, being excited about life. That's what it's all about. Isn't it beautiful to be living on the edge, knowing that we are the action of spirit and feeling that flutter, that, oh my gosh, am I going to be okay? And living on the edge of the cliff. When we are the expression and the action of spirit, spirit is feeling that. Spirit is experiencing that. So live on the edge. Don't squeeze out a mediocre life. Get shot out. Because I bet you diamonds to donuts, there will be a net to catch you on the other side. And you will say, one hell of a ride that I just have. Thank you. Damn fans. Sitting on the couch in your sweats, eating chocolate and binge watching Netflix is okay. Just don't stay there. I love my subscription to Netflix. And I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to rewatch the shows that I just watched last year. And my significant other goes, but you just watched that. Why are you watching it again? Especially when it comes to movies. And I said, sweetheart, what's that song we just listened to? How many times have you listened to that song? And that's how I make comparisons. It's okay to listen to the radio and you hear the same songs day in and day out to where you've memorized the songs, but then to go, oh, I've already seen that movie. I don't need to see it again. As opposed to me, I watch it so many times, I'm memorizing the lines. Don't get me started on Pulp Fiction. And I don't mean Pulp Vixen, who we just had here a couple weeks ago. Oh, this is so much fun. Anybody knows what that is? You are my people. Put your lipstick on, you'll feel better. Those are the lips to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. For those of you who haven't been inclined to go out to the movie theaters when you're in high school at midnight to whatever movie theater was and play the roles and squirt the bottles and have the umbrellas and wear that golden brief. At one point I was Rocky. But put your lipstick on, you'll feel better. Sometimes we're in the ditch, and we've talked about that in the past, being in the ditch. And I've also said that it's okay to be there. And it's also been said, don't build a condo there. As spiritual as that I may think I am, experience, I do find myself in a ditch every once in a while. And because of my heritage, I can probably get there in a split second. The thing is, when you're down there, put on your lipstick, you'll feel better. In other words, relax. Experience that moment. Don't buy into it. Just work your way through it. Because at the end, not only will you have the experience of that learning, but now you have the knowledge so that when someone that you see that may be going something very similar that you once went through, now you have the information, you have the tools to help your fellow human get through their ditch. Accumulate what you will. Use every material guarantee you can invent, But the future is not in these. It is in your mind and heart. Materialistic things are great. It's nice to have nice stuff. But like I was talking about in my class, who am I to judge who's happier? I have a house. I have beautiful children. I have a garden that I kind of take care of. I have a car. Who am I to say that I'm happier than the person pushing the trolley down the street, the grocery basket? It's kind of arrogant, I think, at least for me. And so I see that person as the divinity of God, knowing that they are where exactly they want to be. And there is nothing to have pity for. There's only a recognition that there are different interpretations, different use of the same law. No one is any better than one. Why? Because spirit is all there is. Spirit is not better over here than it is over here. It's the exact same thing. Spirit is only being able to experience itself from the diversity of the human condition. I am not saying that I will not help my fellow human when I see somebody who needs help and stuff like that, but just walking by the day, I don't have the arrogance of I'm better than that person. I can only recognize the truth. I am only different than that person. Just like I'm different to my wife. Just like I'm different to my kids. Just like I'm different to everyone here. But it's still the same energy. It's still the same thought. Most importantly, it's the same love. You're always being watched. So be the inspiration. You can take photos if you want. Isn't that a great sentence? That could be a great mantra. You're being watched, so be the inspiration. There are times when I'm telling you what, I'm not worried about being watched, and I'm saying stuff that, frankly, I'm not that proud of. But then again, seeing the human experience and blessing it all. But consciously, I can recognize when I've fallen down or fell short. And then I pick myself up and I continue. I keep living. I keep experiencing all that Spirit has to offer. From tying my shoelace to jumping out of a plane, which I haven't done yet. Don't know if I will. Let's see. Why put your life on hold waiting for other people to change? Isn't that a big one? I have a few friends that's where I got this idea from. They're always talking about what's not going right. You know, my insurance is too high. It's always something. It's always something. But that doesn't mean I have to put my life on hold. See, I know that I'm divinely guided, that I am the focal point of Spirit. And I know that by coming here to this center, that is what we teach, that you are the divine pinpoint of Spirit. You are where Spirit meets the road. How about that? The rubber meets the road, Spirit meets the road, is right where you are. So let's show God a good time. Don't wait for somebody to tell you where your good is. What is it? That's where they can go. I lovingly love them spiritually. Yes, they're divinely guided to their highest and best good, but guess what? Their highest and best good aren't your highest and best good. You are the captain of your ship. You determine where you go. And if the wind is blowing against you, just like a sailboat, you have to make tacks. And you can still move forward. You may take longer to get there as opposed to when the wind's behind you and you get to make that beeline. But you can always move forward regardless of how the wind blows in your life. You just know, you just have to know how to operate your boat. Meaning this, right here. By staying in alignment with Spirit, your boat and the captain within are always divinely guided for its highest and best good. And just like the captain, you have to decide where you want to be, what you want to experience. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So funny how when I was just talking about two different sides of the same coin, practice compassion is the single coin. How you experience it is different sides. But by practicing compassion, I have found, and I'm just speaking for me, I have found that it's allowed peace to enter in, to lay its foundation, to where now everything that I do and everything that I think comes from that structural, spiritual grounding. Practicing compassion for others allows me to see their divinity in their own path and help them along their way. But I don't have to buy into the story if it doesn't align with my story. So practice compassion all the time, and you will always have the wind at your back. To believe in the mind of God and to accept yourself as its vehicle takes courage. It makes you an explorer of consciousness. That is beautiful. I love that. Vehicle. I love things that move. I love, not anagrams. We were just talking about that. I just love to take an idea from one part of life and see the divinity and the cohesiveness of understanding in others. To take a vehicle takes courage. Living your life does take courage. It sure as heck does. To be able to see your life and to go out on that skinny branch, to stand on the edge of the abyss, knowing that you're always there, that Spirit is always at your back, waiting for you to come up with something new to try. Again, the idea has always been in the mind of God. It is waiting for you and I to say yes, to experience that new idea for ourselves, to bring it into the human condition, to spread that love to others, is a divine ideal, and it's always there. So C.A.R.B.S, change a restricting belief system. What belief system do you have that's restricting you? We're not going to wait for others to tell us how to change it. The answer is within us. So look within ourselves and see that restricting belief system that we may have. For some, it may be large. For others, it just might be a grain of rice. It doesn't matter. When you recognize that you have the ability to change and the courage to change, know this: you have the love to change. So ends your lesson.